I had always considered myself a devoted husband. For 5 years, Lauren and I built what I thought was a solid marriage. So when she approached me last month with an unusual request, I was taken aback. She wanted to pretend we were not married for 2 weeks just to see how we would feel. She said it might help us appreciate each other more. I had my doubts, but agreed, thinking maybe this experiment would reignite our fading spark. I had no idea the real experiment was about to begin. Before I tell you what happened next, let me know where you are watching from in the comments. And if you have ever had someone suggest taking a break in your relationship, hit that like button and subscribe as we explore how my life changed forever. My name is Winston, a 32-year-old software developer living in Seattle. 7 years ago, I met Lauren at our mutual friend Jordan's wedding. She was a bridesmaid and I was a groomsman. Something clicked between us immediately. She had this infectious laugh that made everyone around her smile, and those captivating blue eyes that seemed to look right into your soul. After dancing all night and exchanging numbers, we started dating. Our relationship progressed quickly. Lauren was everything I wanted in a partner: intelligent, ambitious, kind, and adventurous. She worked as a marketing executive for a cosmetics company, and her creativity complemented my analytical nature perfectly. Within 2 years, I proposed on a hiking trip to Mount Rainier, her favorite place. The wedding was small but perfect, just close friends and family celebrating our love. The first 3 years of marriage were blissful. We traveled, built our careers, and created a beautiful home together. We talked about starting a family soon, maybe after one more promotion or project. Life was good, and I believed we were building something special together. But recently, things began to change. It started with small shifts in our routine. Lauren began checking her phone more frequently during dinner. She started working later hours, sometimes not coming home until I was already asleep. When I asked about her day, her answers became vague and dismissive. The physical intimacy between us gradually decreased. I noticed, but tried not to overreact, thinking it was just a phase or work stress. I made efforts to reignite our spark. I planned surprise date nights at her favorite restaurants. I booked a weekend getaway to a vineyard in Napa that she had mentioned wanting to visit. I even started cooking her favorite meals and leaving little notes in her lunch bag. While she seemed to appreciate these gestures, something felt off in her responses. The smile never quite reached her eyes anymore. Then came the conversation that would change everything. We were sitting on our patio one Sunday afternoon enjoying coffee, when Lauren suddenly put down her mug and looked at me intently. "Winston, I have been thinking about us," she said, her voice surprisingly steady. "Do you ever wonder if we rushed into marriage? If we truly know what we want?" The question felt like a punch to my stomach, but I maintained my composure. "I have never doubted that I wanted to be with you," I replied carefully. Lauren twisted her wedding ring. "I think we need something different. A reset button of sorts." "What exactly are you suggesting?" I asked, trying to keep the anxiety from my voice. "Let us pretend we are not married for 2 weeks," she said. "Live separately, go out with friends, experience life as individuals again. Then we can come back together and talk about how we feel." My mind raced with questions and fears. Was this her way of asking for a divorce? Had she met someone else? Did she simply not love me anymore? But instead of voicing these concerns, I swallowed hard and nodded. "If that is what you want," I said, "we can try it." We established ground rules for our experiment. Lauren would stay with her friend Amanda. We would be free to go out with friends independently. No contact unless absolutely necessary. After 2 weeks, we would return home and discuss our feelings honestly. As Lauren packed a suitcase that evening, I sat on our bed watching her, wondering if she would actually return. There was an unsettling efficiency to her packing, as if she had mentally prepared for this moment. When she was ready to leave, our goodbye was awkward, a brief hug that felt formal and cold compared to the warmth we once shared. "See you in 2 weeks," she said, and just like that, she was gone. The first day without Lauren was strange. Our house felt too quiet, too empty. I went through my morning routine automatically, making too much coffee out of habit. When I arrived at work, my colleague Sergio noticed something was off. "Rough night?" he asked as I stared blankly at my computer screen. "Lauren and I are taking a break," I heard myself say. The words felt foreign on my tongue. Just for 2 weeks, to gain perspective. Sergio looked concerned, but did not pry further. By lunchtime, I had received a text from my best friend Jake. "Heard about the experiment. Drinks tonight." I was grateful for the distraction. That evening at the bar, Jake listened as I explained the situation. "Have you noticed any red flags?" he asked cautiously. I shrugged, not wanting to voice my suspicions. She has been distant, working late, protective of her phone. Jake nodded slowly. "Just keep your eyes open, man, and remember your worth." Later that night, I found myself scrolling through social media. Lauren had posted a photo of herself with 3 girlfriends at an upscale restaurant downtown. They were smiling, cocktail glasses raised in a toast. She looked happy, relaxed. I felt a confusing mix of jealousy and relief seeing her enjoying herself. Maybe this break was what she needed. Maybe it would help her realize she missed me. Day 2 of our experiment, I decided to embrace this time alone. I signed up for a gym membership, something I had been putting off. Physical activity might help clear my head. While setting up my membership, I ran into Daniel, who worked in the sales department at Lauren's company. "Winston," he exclaimed, looking genuinely surprised. "Did not expect to see you here." We exchanged pleasantries, but his demeanor seemed off, almost uncomfortable. "So how are things with you and Lauren?" he asked cautiously. "Good," I replied automatically. Then, deciding to be honest, I added, "Actually, we are doing a 2-week trial separation, just to gain perspective." Daniel's face shifted, a flash of something unreadable passing over his features. "Oh, really? That is interesting." "It was her idea," I explained. "Have you seen her at work recently?" "Not much," he answered quickly. Too quickly. "Been busy with different projects, you know how it is." We parted ways, but his strange reaction stayed with me. That evening, as I watched our favorite show alone, I texted Jake about the encounter. "Trust your gut," he responded. "Something feels off." Day 3 arrived, the day that would change everything. During my lunch break, I was scrolling through social media when I saw it. Lauren had posted a new photo. She was not with girlfriends this time. She was cuddled up next to a man at what appeared to be a romantic restaurant. His arm was around her shoulders, and they were both smiling intimately. With a sickening jolt, I recognized him. Ryan, her college boyfriend she had dated for 2 years before we met. The caption read, "Sometimes you reconnect with people who knew you before." The floor seemed to drop from beneath me. My hands shook so badly I nearly dropped my phone. This was not an innocent experiment to gain perspective on our marriage. This was Lauren creating an opportunity to be with someone else, without the technical guilt of cheating. I barely made it to the bathroom before throwing up my lunch. As I splashed cold water on my face trying to regain composure, my coworker Tamara found me. "Winston, are you okay?" Her concern was genuine. "You look like you have seen a ghost." Unable to speak, I showed her my phone. Tamara looked at the photo, then back at me with sympathy. "Oh, Winston, I am so sorry." She helped me through what I later recognized as a panic attack, bringing me water and sitting with me until my breathing normalized. Though every instinct screamed to call Lauren to demand explanations, something stopped me. A quiet voice of self-preservation whispered that showing my pain would only give her power. "What are you going to do?" Tamara asked gently. "Nothing," I said, surprising myself with the calmness in my voice. "At least not yet." That evening, Jake came over with takeout and beer. He examined the photo and scrolled through Lauren's profile, noting that Ryan had been tagged in several of her recent posts, all within the last month. "This did not just happen, Winston," he said quietly. "This has been building." "What should I do?" I asked, feeling completely lost. Jake looked me directly in the eyes. "Protect yourself. Legally, emotionally, financially. This experiment of hers has shown you something valuable, even if it hurts like hell." By the time Jake left, a plan was forming in my mind. If Lauren wanted to pretend we were not married, I would show her exactly what that meant. I took a personal day from work on day 4. My first stop was a locksmith. By noon, all the locks on our house had been changed. Next, I consulted with a lawyer named Philip Thompson to understand my options. While I was not ready to file for divorce, I needed to know where I stood legally. I gathered evidence, taking screenshots of Lauren's posts with Ryan and downloading our text history where she had proposed the experiment. That afternoon, I received the first angry call from Lauren. "What the hell, Winston? I cannot get into the house." I answered calmly. "I am taking our experiment seriously. If we are pretending to not be married, then this is not your house for the next 11 days. "You cannot do this," she sputtered. "Actually, I can. The house is in both our names. I am not preventing you from accessing your belongings. Text me when you want to come by, and I will arrange to have someone here to let you in." I ended the call before she could argue further. My hands were shaking, but for the first time since this began, I felt a sense of control. On day 5, Lauren texted that she needed to collect more clothes and personal items. When I opened the door, I was shocked to find Ryan waiting in the car parked in our driveway. Lauren noticed my gaze and had the decency to look embarrassed. "Really?" I asked quietly. "He is just giving me a ride," she muttered. I maintained my composure as she hastily packed 2 more suitcases. When she finished, I stood in the doorway blocking her exit. "How long has this been going on, Lauren?" She flushed, looking anywhere but at my face. "It is not what you think." "So you are not sleeping with your college boyfriend while we are supposedly taking a break to gain perspective on our marriage?" Her silence was answer enough. "We reconnected at a company event last month," she finally admitted. "It just happened." "Affairs do not just happen, Lauren. You made choices, including suggesting this experiment to ease your guilt." Her eyes widened with surprise at my insight. "I wanted to see if what I was feeling for Ryan was real or just nostalgia," she said defensively. "And you needed to test that by betraying my trust completely." Lauren pushed past me. "You are overreacting." We agreed to take a break. A break to think about our marriage, not to date other people. Certainly not to date someone you have been secretly seeing for a month. After she left, I logged into our shared cloud account. There, I discovered deleted messages between her and Ryan dating back 6 weeks. Plans to meet exchanges too intimate for mere friends' discussions about their past relationship and possible future. The extent of her deception became crystal clear. Over the next few days, I focused on rebuilding myself. Jake brought over a group of friends for a barbecue. Tamara checked on me daily with texts and occasionally lunch. My parents, once they heard a sanitized version of events, offered their unwavering support. I rediscovered old hobbies. The guitar I had neglected sat in its case in our guest room. I played for hours, remembering how music had once been my solace. I volunteered at a local dog shelter, finding comfort in the uncomplicated affection of the animals. On day 8, I began sessions with Dr. Pryman. Marshall, a therapist Jake had recommended. Our first conversation was revelatory. "You are mourning not just the relationship, Winston, but the future you had envisioned," she explained. "Allow yourself to feel that grief, without letting it define you." Meanwhile, Lauren had begun a campaign to control the narrative among our friends. Several mutual acquaintances reached out with concerns, having heard her version that I had become controlling and unreasonable, changing locks when she just needed space. Rather than engage in public drama, I chose dignified silence. Those who truly knew me understood. Those who believed her without question, perhaps, were not friends worth keeping. By day 11, I had begun redecorating our house. I rearranged furniture, replaced our bedding, and took down photos that felt tainted by deception. The space gradually transformed, reflecting my emerging identity apart from us as a couple. I met with a divorce attorney named Marissa Jackson and our financial advisor to understand the practical aspects of separation. The reality of dividing 5 years of shared life was daunting but necessary. Journaling became another form of therapy. Each night I wrote about my feelings, fears, and small victories. The evolution of my thoughts over those pages reflected my gradual healing. Surprisingly, Lauren's younger sister Jessica reached out to me on day 13. "I want you to know I do not condone what she did," Jessica said over coffee. "Lauren has been making self-destructive decisions lately. This is not the sister I know." While her support was touching, it could not change what had happened. As the 2-week mark approached, I prepared myself mentally for Lauren's return. I knew she expected to come home and discuss our feelings as originally planned. She had no idea I had seen through the experiment to the betrayal beneath. Day 14 arrived with a strange sense of calm. I had spent the morning organizing documents and preparing what needed to be said. When the doorbell rang at exactly 2 in the afternoon, I was ready. Lauren stood on our porch looking both nervous and expectant. She had styled her hair the way I liked and wore the blue dress from our anniversary dinner last year. A calculated choice, I realized. "Can I come in?" she asked, as if it were still partially her home. I gestured for her to enter. The changes to the house registered immediately on her face. "You have been busy," she commented, taking in the new furniture arrangement and missing photographs. "I have," I agreed. "Please sit down." Once seated across from each other in the living room, I placed my phone on the coffee table between us. On the screen was her social media post with Ryan. "Let us be honest about what these 2 weeks were really about," I said calmly. Lauren's expression shifted from confusion to defensiveness. "It was about gaining perspective, like we agreed." "No, Lauren. It was about you testing the waters with Ryan without technically cheating. It was about easing your conscience while betraying our vows. That is not fair," she protested. What is not fair is discovering your wife has been lying to you for weeks. What is not fair is being manipulated into an experiment designed to facilitate your affair. I showed her the evidence I had gathered, the deleted messages I had recovered, the timeline of her meetings with Ryan, all pointing to a relationship that predated our so-called experiment. Lauren's strategy evolved rapidly before my eyes. First came denial. Those messages are being misinterpreted. Ryan and I are just friends reconnecting. When that failed, she shifted to blame. You have been emotionally absent for months. Always working. Never really listening. Ryan actually sees me. Finally faced with irrefutable evidence, she crumbled into guilt and tears. I made a terrible mistake. I got caught up in nostalgia and flattery. It did not mean anything. I realized during these 2 weeks that what we have is real. Ryan and I are already over. As if on cue, a car horn sounded from the driveway. Through the window, I could see Ryan waiting in his car. He does not look over it, I observed quietly. Lauren flushed. He just drove me here, for support. The truth even now seems difficult for you, I said. I deserve better than that. I slid a folder across the table containing separation papers my attorney had prepared. I am not asking for anything unreasonable. Equal division of assets, a clean break. You cannot be serious, she whispered. 5 years of marriage, and you are throwing it away. Over one mistake. This was not one mistake, Lauren. This was a series of calculated decisions. Each lie, each secret meeting, each message was a choice you made. And now I am making mine. Lauren's tears flowed freely now. I still love you. We can fix this. For a moment, looking at her crying in our living room, I felt a flicker of the love we once shared. But it was quickly extinguished by the memory of her in Ryan's arms, smiling for the camera while I sat alone in our empty house. Sometimes love is not enough, I said gently. Trust once broken is nearly impossible to rebuild. Our conversation continued for another hour. Lauren cycling through more tears, promises, and eventually anger when she realized my decision was final. When she finally left, Ryan was still waiting. Through the window, I watched their tense conversation in the car before they drove away. Something told me their relationship, built on the shaky foundation of deception, would not last without the thrill of secrecy. The following weeks and months were not easy. Friends and family took sides initially, though most eventually came to understand my position. Lauren and Ryan's relationship dissolved within 2 months, just as Jake had predicted. Without the excitement of forbidden love, they quickly discovered they had little in common anymore. My own recovery took time. There were nights I questioned my decision, days when loneliness felt overwhelming. But there were also moments of unexpected joy and discovery. I traveled solo to places Lauren had never been interested in visiting. I reconnected with old friends and made new ones. I advanced in my career, taking risks I might have avoided before. Tamara and I continued our friendship, which gradually evolved into something more. Unlike my whirlwind romance with Lauren, this relationship built slowly on a foundation of honesty and mutual respect. By 6 months after the separation, we had begun dating exclusively. It was around that time that I ran into Lauren at a local coffee shop. She looked different somehow, the confident sparkle in her eyes dimmed. We acknowledged each other awkwardly before she approached my table. "You look good," she said softly. "Thank you. How have you been?" She shrugged, attempting nonchalance. "Okay. Working a lot, living in an apartment downtown now." An uncomfortable silence stretched between us. "I made a terrible mistake, Winston," she finally said. "I threw away something precious for something temporary. I think about that every day." I looked at her and felt something I had not expected. Compassion without attachment. We all make mistakes, Lauren. The important thing is learning from them. "Are you happy?" she asked, a tremor in her voice. I considered the question carefully. "I am. Not in the way I expected to be, but yes, I am happy." Our conversation was brief, but civil. As she walked away, I realized I no longer felt the sharp pain of betrayal when I saw her. In its place was a calm acceptance that some relationships, no matter how promising they once seemed, are not meant to last. My new life with Tamara was built on transparency. We talked openly about our fears, dreams, and boundaries. I had learned that while love is essential, it must be paired with honesty and respect to truly flourish. Looking back now, I see that 2-week experiment as a gift in disguise. It revealed a truth I might have taken years to discover otherwise. It forced me to stand up for myself, to value my worth, and to rebuild my life on my own terms. The pain was excruciating, but the strength I found through it was invaluable. Have you ever experienced betrayal that ultimately led to unexpected growth? Share your story in the comments below. If this journey of self-discovery resonated with you, please hit the like button and subscribe to hear more stories of resilience and transformation. And if you know someone struggling with betrayal or difficult decisions in their relationship, share this video with them. Sometimes knowing we are not alone in our experiences is the first step toward healing. Thank you for listening to my story. And remember, the most important relationship you will ever have is the one with yourself.